The laugh hits first. Not the warm, rolling kind, but the sharp, startled kind. The kind that erupts before the brain has caught up. A punchline lands on Weekend Update, Christmas lights glowing, audience primed for comfort comedy, tradition, safety. Then something shifts. For half a second, the room freezes. The anchors blink. The crowd stutters between laughter and silence. Somewhere between the joke and the reaction, you can feel it. That invisible snap when a harmless bit crosses into dangerous territory. Phones in living rooms tilt upward, Twitter fingers hover, group chats pause mid-typing. Because this wasn't just another joke. This was the Christmas joke swap, SNL's most deceptively risky tradition, a ritual built on trust, where comedians surrender control and read jokes written for them, not by them. Every year it walks a tightrope, and every year America dares it to fall. This time, it almost did. The joke wasn't shouted, it wasn't cruel on its face. It didn't come with a warning siren. That's what made it worse, or more powerful, depending on where you were sitting. Bowen Yang's edge, Aidy Bryant's disarming warmth, Kam Patterson's raw, unfiltered delivery, three comedic energies colliding, live, unedited, irreversible. The laughter that followed was fractured. Some people howled, some gasped, some went quiet. And in that split second, Weekend Update stopped being a comedy desk and became a cultural courtroom. Because in 2025, jokes don't get a grace period. They get clipped, they get stripped of context, they get sentenced in timelines measured in seconds. Outrage doesn't ask what you meant, it asks how fast it can move, and everyone watching knew it. You could see it in the anchors' faces, the micro-calculations, the instinct to brace, the knowledge that whatever happened next would be replayed millions of times before the show even ended. This wasn't about whether the joke was funny. It was about whether composure could survive the moment. Because when the line is crossed on live television, America doesn't wait for explanations. It waits for collapse, for panic, for apology, for blood in the algorithm. And as the laughter faded into something uneasy, one truth settled over the studio like fog. If this went wrong, it wouldn't just be a bad joke. By the time that laugh cracked in half, America was already exhausted. Not tired in the sleepy sense, but worn down. 2025 had arrived carrying the weight of non-stop elections, perpetual outrage cycles, and a media ecosystem trained to turn every moment into a verdict. The country wasn't just watching comedy anymore, it was scanning it, measuring tone, parsing intent, waiting for the next reason to be offended or vindicated. In that environment, laughter had become fragile. Every joke felt like it needed footnotes. Every pause invited interpretation, and the algorithm, fast, ruthless, context-blind, had trained audiences to react before they understood. Clips traveled faster than explanations. Outrage traveled faster than truth. And once a moment escaped into the feed, there was no pulling it back. That's what made Weekend Update different. For decades, it had functioned as one of the last shared national campfires, a place where Americans across ideologies still sat down at the same time, watched the same jokes, and laughed or groaned together. Not because everyone agreed, but because everyone participated. It was live, it was imperfect, and it was human. But even that space was shrinking. The Christmas joke swap wasn't just a sketch, it was a gamble layered on top of another gamble, a tradition built on mutual trust and professional bravery, where anchors agreed to read jokes they've never seen, written by people who know exactly where the landmines are. No rewrites, no veto, no safety net. Control is surrendered completely. That's the point. The joke swap works because it exposes something rare in modern media. Vulnerability, the willingness to be surprised, to risk embarrassment for the sake of something bigger than personal safety, shared laughter. Every year, audiences tune in not just for the jokes, but for the possibility that something might go wrong. And in 2025, going wrong carried heavier consequences than ever. This wasn't the era of Monday morning think pieces, it was the era of instant moral accounting. A single out-of-context line could cost reputations, contracts, or credibility before the commercial break even ended. The anchors knew it, the writers knew it, the audience definitely knew it. Which meant this wasn't just humor, it was a stress test, a test of whether comedy could still move first, before apology, before panic, before self-censorship, a test of whether a joke could land, wobble, and still stand upright. Nostalgia hovered over the moment, the memory of when live TV felt looser, braver, less afraid of itself. But anxiety was right there with it, because nobody watching believed they were safe from the fallout if this moment tipped the wrong way. And as the cameras stayed rolling, one uncomfortable truth became impossible to ignore. Not everyone on that desk was walking into this blind. Some knew exactly how dangerous this could be, and some were about to prove whether experience still mattered when the internet was already sharpening its knives.